All right, welcome back to the Elias Macco Show. Let's keep talking about post-secondary education in Quebec. Of course, over the last couple of weeks, the story of tuition hikes at Quebec universities for out-of-province students. Boy, that has been a huge debate. John McMahon is Director General of Vanier College, one of the fine English CEGEPs in this province. He's on the line. Welcome back to the show, John.
No, thank you very much, Elias. Great to be with you.
First things first, October 24th is our day. You're in the full swing of things in the semester at Vanier. Can I just ask you, because, you know, so many changes have come into place because of Bill 96 in Quebec, and I know some of that has to do with enrollment numbers. How did that end up playing out? How did you navigate those waters so far?
Well, as I mentioned several times before, two phases of Bill 96. The first phase we're right in now, and that was to make sure that all of the non-certificate holders, those not eligible for English education, have all of the French courses required for them to write their French exit. So that was put into place this fall, 2023, and there was a lot of work done last year to prepare for that, but that is going fairly well. Obviously, we're going to have to assess and to evaluate what is happening with those students so that we can adjust accordingly to ensure their success. But right now we're in the planning for fall 2024, and this is major planning because that is the date that the three course requirements will come into play, both for non-certificate holders and certificate holders. And this is a lot of work.
Now, but John, the measure that would fine you if you had too many students enrolled, has that come into effect?
Yeah, that is in effect, although this year we had a bit of a transition allowed by the ministry, so It has not caused a great deal of stress to us, but we will have to perhaps adjust in January in order to make sure that we're below those numbers. But certainly that cap will come into play going forward. And the financial penalties are very severe, and we must ensure that we will operate underneath that cap.
John, I want to turn our attention here to the tuition hikes at universities for out-of-province students. I've actually, over the last few days, whether it's on the text line here, or our CJAD text line, or on my Twitter, X, whatever it's called, I've gotten messages from listeners, and they say, Elias, this is actually a good thing for my son that wants to go to McGill or Concordia, because now Quebec students will have a better shot if out-of-province students don't want to come here. I would love to know your thoughts. You know, for a Vanier College student that always wanted the specific program at McGill or the specific program at Concordia when they finish studying at Vanier, do you think there's a silver lining?
Well, it's possible. If we look at what happened in the CEGEPs with the priority clause to certificate holders, that was one of the objectives, to ensure that all certificate holders had a spot in CEGEP. The university level does not operate the same way, and whether or not a similar priority clause would be applied to the universities going forward, I don't know. I don't believe it would be. I can see the thinking along those lines. However, I think the greatest concern for the universities is just the viability of the universities. Bishop's University, for example, is extremely worried that with these tuition hikes threaten their existence. And so if that happens, then seats for certificate holder students, if you want, or the English community here in Quebec would be severely limited. So I think there are more issues. There are greater issues at play here. I know the university, my university partners are addressing those issues very well and articulating both to the government and to the community their concerns. And I think we all need to be concerned. Certainly the CEGEPs are supporting the universities in their fight with the government on this issue because we see it as yet another attack on English institutions.
With John McMahon, Director General of Vanier College. So, John, do you think those tuition increases could, at the end of the day, affect your institution and other English CEGEPs?
Well, it could have an impact on our institutions from the point of view that if there are programs that have to close at universities, or if universities such as Bishop's are actually threatened, then that's going to limit the options for our students, for all of our students, because even though the government has classified students as certificate holders and non-certificate students, when we look at our 6,000 plus students, we look at them as an entire body. We don't discriminate between them. And so we look at what is the best options for those students here in Quebec. And many of those students choose to go to either Concordia, McGill, and Bishops, or some of the Francophone universities, UQAM and Université de Montréal. We have lots of students who choose to pursue university education in French. So we want the greatest option for our students, and we want quality education. And we believe that this decision is going to impact the quality that universities like McGill, Concordia, and Bishops can offer.
A lot of complaints that this decision was made without full and proper consultation. Can I ask you to weigh in on that? And Higher Education Minister Pascale Derry, do you feel she is someone that does listen? Have you had decent communication? I'd love to know your assessment on that end.
Well, as I said before, we were very pleased initially with the communication and with the relations we've had with Minister Derry, and I'm still confident that we can have a positive relationship with her. She is very personable. She does listen. But this recent decision with university tuitions, as we saw with Bill 96, there is a fundamental lack of consultation. This thing was announced at a complete surprise, similar to the 3-course requirement that was imposed on English CEGEPs. It was a complete surprise. There was no consultation. I would dream of the day where the ministry would sit down with the institutions and say, listen, we are thinking of doing this. What do you think? What would the impact be? How would you implement it? Before they actually go and announce it. But that does not occur. And that is something that absolutely needs to change.
John, are English post-secondary institutions in Quebec, would you say that they're united?
They're absolutely united. We have a consortium of English CEGEPs, colleges, and universities. It's 5 public CEGEPs plus Marianopolis and the 3 universities. The leaders of the institutions get together, the consortium, and we discuss issues that are common to all of us. And we are absolutely united with our university partners on this issue, as they were with us on Bill 96.
John, always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Elias.
John McMahon, Director General of Vanier College. When we return on the flip side of news, we're going to have Philippe J. Fournier, the political columnist and the pollster creator of 338canada.com, return to our program, and he's going to give us the news on just how bad or good it is for the federal Liberals and Justin Trudeau right now. We'll talk about that, plus perhaps Jean Charest and his popularity, coming up next.
This fall, make sure your vehicle is protected from rust by booking an appointment at rustproofing.com. Metropolitan Rustproofing, a smart investment that really pays.
This newscast brought to you by Renovco. Renovating? Go with the consumer's choice for all your renovation needs. Call Renovco 514-856-9993 or visit renovco.com.
It's 11 o'clock. I'm Don Kagan-Fleming with your CTV News Update. It's 8 degrees in Montreal right now. Your full weather in just minutes. Here's what's making news. A coroner's report found that provincial police need to do more when it comes to kidnapped children, parents planning protests in support of teachers ahead of potential strikes, and worries about road salt shortages for Montreal this year. First, though, heading over to the CJAD 800 Traffic Center. How are the roads looking, Debbie?
It's busy on Décarie northbound. They're doing some cleanup. They're washing off the graffiti on Décarie northbound at Jean Talon, blocking the right-hand lane. So we have that congestion from Turcotte. Highway 20 westbound has cleared out at Angrignon. Still a little busy approaching Norman, though. And on the Met westbound, some stop-and-go traffic from P9 into Décarie, Saint-Michel area, in fact. No problems in from the South Shore. Heading out to the South Shore at the La Fontaine Tunnel, you're down to 1 lane in the tunnel for ongoing roadwork, and traffic's from Yves Prévost. This October, experience the Lexus 10-day event from the 16th to the 25th. Visit your local Lexus dealer for details. Traffic and transit every 15 minutes on CJAD 800. Your next report at 11:15.
In the news, a coroner's report into the murder-suicide of 2 young girls at the hands of their father in 2020 had some heavy criticism of provincial police. Luc Malouin's report found that police were slow in both releasing the Amber Alert and even setting up the search operation for Romy and Nora Carpentier after their father kidnapped them. He said that protocols weren't followed in the search for the 6 and 11-year-olds before their deaths, and that the force needs to seriously re-examine how it does things. Among the recommendations are treating these disappearances as a worst-case scenario from the start, better communication and organization when it comes to work on the ground, and sending out media and Amber Alerts about missing children much sooner. Parents supporting teachers are planning to form human chains around schools on Thursday in several parts of Quebec. Teachers' unions are part of negotiations with the government for a new public worker contract and reportedly remain far apart. A major strike could potentially be coming in the next few weeks. Parents in Montreal, Quebec City, and Rimouski have confirmed they'll be doing this, and other areas are expected to have similar protests, according to a Journal de Montréal report. Montrealers could be in for plenty of slips and falls this winter if the strike on the St. Lawrence Seaway drags on. Now is the time of year importers are stocking up before the locks are closed for the winter. According to La Presse, we could be in for a short supply this year when it comes to road salt, as it takes 400 to 500 trucks to transport the salt from a single ship, with no ships coming in. It's a lot of salt not ending up on the sidewalks. Unifor's workers have been on strike since Sunday morning. Hamas has released 2 women who were taken hostage during the October 7th attack on southern Israel.
It's okay, let's go.
A Hamas-released video showed the moment the 2 hostages were handed over to Red Cross officials. The video showed one hostage shake the hand of one of the masked fighters as she said, "Shalom." Arriving in Tel Aviv, that same hostage, 85-year-old Yocheved Lipschitz, spoke softly in Hebrew as she recounted her experience. She said the militants swarmed her kibbutz, beat people and killed indiscriminately. Yocheved then added once she was moved to Gaza, the experience with her captors improved. They were very gracious, this must be said. They kept us clean, kept us fed. We had the same food that they did. The women were freed days after an American woman and her teenage daughter were released. I'm Karen Chamas.
For more news, go to CJAD800.com or download the iHeartRadio app. And now your Dormez-vous Weather Center forecast. Mainly cloudy today with a high of 13. Those clouds sticking around tonight with a 30% chance of showers and a low of 10. And then warming up tomorrow as those clouds and chance of rain continue with a high of 19 degrees. It's 8 degrees in Montreal right now. For all the news during the day, stream us on your smart speaker. Just say play CJAD 800. Your next CTV News update is coming at 11:30.
Were you told just because your mother had bunions, you'll never get them? Not true. Hereditary factors do play a big part in whether you will end up with bunions. Find out more by calling me today. Dr. Shazia Malik, 514-844-5250 or malikpodiatry.com.
10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents.
Starting November 1st, the refund for every beverage container increases to 10 cents.
10 cents. Makes sense.
A message from Colsing Axiom.
$1.10, $1.20.
On a need-to-know basis, he's got you covered. Elias Mackos, CJAD 800.
All right, welcome to the third hour of the Elias Mackos Show, and we begin with Philip J. Fournier, the pollster creator of 338canada.com. It's been a while since we've spoken on this program, and that's because he's been so busy building an empire, an online empire. It's truly happening. Anyone who now goes to 338canada.com can see the insight and the analysis that Philip J. Fournier is publishing and join the 338 Canada revolution for themselves. PJ, Philippe, welcome back to the program.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you, Elias. It's good to speak with you again.
It's so good to speak to you. I've said this before, when it comes to accounts to follow on Twitter or X, whatever it's called, you're right up there. You keep publishing terrific information. And I just want to go over a few of the things that you've handled over the last couple of weeks. Let's start off with the Liberal Party of Canada. Your latest projection, okay? Your latest projection for polling in this country, okay? Your seat projection. Conservative Party of Canada, 205 seats. Liberal Party, 81 seats. That's a trouncing, PJ. Philippe, tell me more.
It really is. And I have to say, Elias, you know my work. I am not into hot takery. This is not what I do. I teach science in college, and I teach my students the scientific method. And there's always uncertainty in what we do. And so before publishing numbers like this, I really study them very carefully. And indeed, it's been growing. The lead in for the conservatives since August has been growing steadily. But I would say in the past 2 weeks, the polls have been devastating for Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. We're not talking just about double-digit lead. We're talking about 15, 16, 14-point leads, including leads in Liberal bedrock, basically the Ontario and Atlantic Canada. And the Conservatives are doing slightly better in Quebec. They're not dominating by any stretch, but they're starting to eat some of that bloc vote in the regions of Quebec outside of Montreal. And you combine that with a strong showing for the Conservatives in the West, and you get to 200 seats. It would be it would be the biggest win since the Mulroney years. Again, this is a projection. We're not having an election anytime soon, but it's still the worst showing for the Liberals since I began tracking the numbers in 2017.
And projections aside, there is no denying that something is happening to the Liberal base and support for the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. What do you think is happening? What is hurting this party so much that we are seeing these large gaps?
There are several factors, and again, I will stick to the numbers, right? We see personal erosion for Justin Trudeau's numbers. So, of course, that doesn't help. When your leader is unpopular, it doesn't help. The wear and tear of time and power, l'usure du pouvoir, Elias, it can weigh on any government. And I had a friend analyst that says, well, COVID years count for triple. So even though Prime Minister has been in power he's in his 9th year now, so a little more over 8 years, the COVID years weigh a lot on people's minds. And so at some point, people just get tired of the guy. The shtick doesn't work anymore.
Okay, but let me push back a bit, right? Because I hear this all the time.
Okay.
It's fatigue. It's 8 years, it's going to be fatigue. But I'm sorry, if everyone had a roof over their head that was reasonably priced and groceries, were reasonable and we weren't seeing inflation everywhere, and at times we saw some more leadership on issues, I'm not so sure we'd be fatigued. I think, the Liberals have been a brand forever in this country. So how much of it, fatigue aside, what does polling tell us on issues? What do we know about how Canadians feel on how the country is being led?
Well, we have numbers on this. I'm glad you asked the question. When we ask what are the most important issues, provincially, we always get healthcare in the first place. But when we talk about more general and federal issues, cost of living, housing, it's right up there. Since, as you said, groceries and inflation and housing has been rising in prices during the Liberal reign, it's going to hurt the Liberals. Now, again, to be fair, unlike some Conservatives in this country that just stub their toe on the corner of their bed and blame Justin Trudeau, to be fair, inflation has been a worldwide phenomenon. But, inflation is high in Germany, it's high in the UK, it's high in France. But if the Liberals think they can go in an election and say, well, inflation is high everywhere, well, good luck with that slogan, because people will say, well, I don't care what's going on in France now and Germany and UK. I care what's going on here. So when you're in power, you wear it. If the Conservatives were in power and this inflation was hurting the common Canadian, they would have to wear it too. The excuse would not be good enough. Yeah. Now, that being said, Sean Fraser, new housing minister, is working hard with cities to accelerate the building of housing. He has not a lot of runaway to go to. It has a little under 2 years. We'll see if it gets any better. But right now, it's not showing, and Canadians are hurting, and so the Liberals are hurting in the polls.
And I'll just point this out. The United States has inflation as well, but they are also posting month after month tremendous economic growth numbers. So I think that plays into this as well. You can have inflation, but if you're a country that's also following it up with really good economic growth, voters are going to say, okay, we'll take the good with the bad. We don't know if we have that here.
I'll push that, though. Push that. Yeah, economic growth, but for whom? I mean, if it only benefits the top, voters won't be happy. So, but yeah, you're right. It's one point that to consider, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just if you look at consumer spending in the U.S., it's still off the charts. So I get it. Like, if it's just for the top 1%, I'll do my Bernie Sanders, the top 1% of the 1%. If it's just for that, I get it. But what we're seeing in the U.S. is resiliency amongst all consumers to buy stuff. And I think that's where I see a difference. I want to talk about Poilievre for a second. And actually, it's Poilievre and Trudeau. Leader likability, okay? What are we seeing in Canada when it comes to the leaders, right? Because a lot of people would say the Liberals' fortunes are tied to Justin Trudeau, and then the Conservative fortunes tied to Pierre Poilievre. What are we seeing on likability?
This is something that I wrote for 338 Canada, so I'm glad you asked about this, because the question that we could ask right now, are the Conservatives rising or are the Liberals sinking, or a little bit of both? The personal numbers of Justin Trudeau are really not good. Like, we're talking about net favorability in the minus 30s. This is the worst we've seen in a long time. But when we look at Pierre Poilievre, although it has improved a little bit since he became Conservative leader last year, most Canadians are not enamored with Pierre Poilievre. I mean, the Angus Reid Institute still had 47% of Canadians having a negative opinion, and his positive opinions were in the low 30s. So Pierre Poilievre is not that popular. It's popular among Conservatives, so there's no doubt about this. But I think that right now the numbers suggest that the Conservatives are enjoying a weak and tired government more so than an up-and-comer challenger just riding a wave. But if you can win an election because your opponent is losing, a win is a win, right? They will take it. There's no point for style, as they say in hockey, right?
But Philippe, is there some bias here? Because I see, because we're on Zoom, so I can see your wardrobe, and you're wearing the suit jacket with a button-up shirt, and Pierre Poilievre has switched to the T-shirt. So
I'm still wearing glasses too. So.
That's right. You've stuck with the glasses and the button-up shirt. How much is style playing into this? Has he seen any? Has any of the increase coincided with the style refresh?
Well, that's interesting, because it was this summer that he dropped the glasses and he tried to have a softened image. And it may have worked to the Conservatives' advantage. If you look at the numbers from Pierre Poilievre, from Abacus data, and from other pollsters like Léger, the numbers have not very changed for the personal numbers of Pierre Poilievre. Now, again, do the Conservatives need to have a softer image? I think they did, but we saw what happened last week in BC with the apple orchard journalist.
Yes.
I mean, to turn back a journalist who's not ready to face the music is one thing, but then to go and fundraise and make T-shirts about it. This is the difference between being a fierce politician and sometimes being, well, you know what.
Yeah, so. And I wonder how much of it stays in the Twitter silo, the X silo, and how much of it goes out into the ether amongst all Canadians. I mean, we eventually talked about it on our program. I spent the whole week saying, let's put this aside. Then Friday, I couldn't avoid it anymore, that video with the apple. And we eventually brought it in the show. So I wonder just how much stays in the social media silos where you're just in a bubble and how much of it goes to everyone. That's a fair point, but I would add that the video is one thing. The fundraising on the video is another. Yeah. I mean, the making the T-shirts about, I mean, just to keep dunking on this in journalists is other. I mean, Monsieur Poilievre sometimes acts and scoffs at journalists on the press gallery. It's part of it. It's part of the game. Yeah. But to then go and say what you see as a liberal conspiracy, this is another league, I think, and it can take us to dark places. So we'll see. Philippe, hang on here. We're going to have more with Philippe J. Fournier coming up. We'll take a look at this question, which Philippe has looked at. Is immigration a threat to language and culture in Quebec? We'll look at that. Plus, I will throw a question his way about Jean Charest and the thing that surfaced on this program over the last couple of days. Okay, first things first, we do traffic right here, right now, and we check in at 11:16 with Debbie Marcellos.
Elias, they were cleaning up some graffiti on Décarie northbound at Jean Talon. Lanes are reopened, but we're still seeing a slowdown on northbound Décarie from Côte St. Luc up to Côte St. Catherine. And on Highway 20 westbound, it's still a little busy through Ville St. Pierre, where you merge from 4 lanes into 2 just after Angrignon and then through to Norman. So we're seeing a slowdown there, but no accidents or stalls holding things back. On the Met West, some volume from Papineau into Décarie, and southbound Décarie busy down to the Jean Talon exit. Though it's not always easy to predict predict traffic, you can predict your budget with an internet package starting at $35 per month. Details at ebox.ca. Let us know what you see on the roads. Call in your tips to Star 800. Your next report at 11:30.
The Elias Macco Show, brought to you by the President Sale at The Brick, with the best deals in every department, like up to 50% off mattresses. The Brick, saving you more.
When the time comes to choose a new Lexus, never compromise on quality. Buy or lease your new Lexus at Spinelli Lexus.
From October 16th to October 25th, it's the 10-day Lexus event at Spinelli Lexus. Enjoy an additional 1% discount on lease and financing rates, with rates as low as 2.9% on selected in-stock models, including a 1% rate reduction. Don't wait. Visit Spinelli Lexus in Point Claire and Lachine.
Spinelli Lexus, the address of choice for all automotive services.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
That was absolutely delicious.
Yeah, it was great.
Good. Yummy.
Oh,
thank you. Bye-bye. See you soon.
Your car is a place where you can truly be yourself.
Wow. That meal was terrible.
It deserves to be well protected, and you deserve an insurer you can count on. Find the coverage that's right for your car with Desjardins Insurance. Get a quote in just a few clicks at Desjardins.com.
Saturday, October 28th, the Montreal Alouettes face the Hamilton Tiger Cats for the last regular season game of 2023. It'll be a Halloween game with pre-game costume contest and fun activities for family and friends. Kids get in for just $5.